Hey, what's up? This is Brian with adspend.com. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be giving you a recap of the most recent Sam Ovens Quantum Mastermind event that just took place this past weekend for the end of Q2. Okay, and so there was 3 days total, and I just took a bunch of notes in my handy dandy Mont Blanc journal, which is a really sick journal because I still use journals. And I thought about getting the Remarkable. Funny story, I actually did get the Remarkable for me and a few of my team members, and within the first 30 minutes of opening it, I was like, this is just going to be too complicated. You had to download some software, you had to update it, connect it to your Wi-Fi. It was just like, well, I have basically another laptop at this point. So I am sticking with the paper for that reason. It's easier for taking notes. And I transferred all of the notes in here from the Mastermind event with Sam and the rest of the members to this handy dandy Google Doc. I keep saying handy dandy. Don't say that again, Brian. Oh no, I almost said it again. Google document. All right. So we have day 1, day 2, and day 3. So let's start with day 1. Day 1, a few key takeaways that I wanted to touch on and share with you guys. And I think this is a really good breakdown of how you should think about your traffic sources moving forward. Okay, so in the previous quantum recap video, which I will put in a card somewhere on this video right now as I'm talking about it, so you can click on it and watch that if you haven't already. It's a very in-depth video. I would highly recommend watching it. We talked about Sam's plan for Q2 to scale his business, right? Which was YouTube ads, YouTube organic, and email list. Those were his 3 traffic sources, okay? And Sam actually broke down each of these very simply on how they best serve your business for getting people to know, like, and trust you. So the first one, YouTube ads, okay? YouTube ads is to get people to know you, right? That's all any sort of paid advertising traffic source is. That's the goal, right? Get your offer in front of people. How do you do that? You run ads on a platform like Facebook, like YouTube, to get in front of people so that they can become aware of what you do, what you're offering, and who you are. That's the whole purpose of running ads, to get your offer in front of more people and fast. That's the whole point. YouTube ads can work faster than something, for example, like YouTube channel. Obviously, with my YouTube channel, guys, I've been doing YouTube half-assedly, if that's a word, for the past 5, 6, 7 years, right? And I have about 5,500 or 600 subscribers now at this point. But it's a long-term play, and I realize that, which is why I'm doing at least a minimum of 1 video a week right now to grow my YouTube channel over the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years. It's a very long-term thing, and it can take up to 2 years as long as you're consistent to really get some traction and momentum and people who are really aligned with your brand, your vision, and what you're doing, right? Who want to subscribe, subscribe and are invested into you and, what you have to say. And so the YouTube channel is really to win people's hearts. That's the whole goal of this channel as well. Like, my intention behind creating YouTube videos is to just share as much as I learn and as much as possible and as consistently as possible with you guys as I'm learning it. I was watching a video by Alex Hormozy earlier this morning, and he was doing a presentation on how to create a ton of content, and he broke down his whole organic content strategy, which he's crushing, by the way, and it was really smart how he's doing it. But he said something that really stuck with me and that proves this point even more, which was, people don't respect the person who's saying, you should do this. Instead, people respect the person and follow the person who says, here's what I'm doing, and here's how I'm doing it, right? And so that's how I've always approached my career, if you will, with my personal brand, with my business. I've always given everything away as much as possible for free. That's super valuable because it helped me so that you can get it, learn it, take it into your life and decide whether you want to act on it or not. But instead of telling you what to do, I'm just telling you what I did and why it worked for me. And that's the whole goal of your YouTube channel, right? In my opinion, is to share what you're learning, right? And so that way you can understand that maybe this is a better way for you to do something, or maybe it's not. Regardless, you have the information. But the key here is your YouTube channel is always going to be one of your best funnels, especially from a direct response marketing standpoint, because it's your personal brand, right? People are investing into you, and this is where you win people's hearts. How? Potentially by just giving everything away for free, by sharing what you did and how it worked and how they can get benefit from it too, right? Winning people's hearts with their YouTube channel. It's a long-term organic growth strategy, however, right? And if you can just really replace YouTube ads with YouTube channel eventually, that's the whole goal. You don't want to have to be running ads forever. You run ads at the very beginning to get in front of people, especially when you're not known and when you don't have a following, because it's easier to get started and it's faster to make money, all right? But YouTube in your channel is a long-term play because you really have to take time, consistent, and consistent action with it as well. And it takes a little bit longer. But if you can flip those two, which is the whole goal eventually, to only, have to really get leads from organic content because it's cheaper, obviously, and you really grow a compounding business, right? Because your YouTube channel compounds. If you think about it, YouTube ads are here today, gone tomorrow. The moment you stop running ads is the moment you stop getting in front of people. Whereas your YouTube channel, it's a long-term thing, right? 5 years from now, you get 5,000 subscribers. You're going to keep getting more and more subscribers in the next 5 years, because even if you stop doing everything, because your videos are going to compound more views over time. And so next on the list for your organic traffic sources is your email list, okay? Email list is the whole goal is to remind people about you, your channel, and your offer. Okay, this was very well said by Sam. Email list, remind people about you, remind people about your YouTube channel, which then again helps you win their heart, and remind them about your offer, which is the whole goal of running YouTube ads in the first place, right? So together, all three of these make a really, really powerful combination, and he explained them in this way, which made me take notes on that. Next is goal setting, right? So we're going to kind of jump around a little bit. I just took everything bullet by bullet from my notes and put it onto here. Regardless, take this smorgasbord of value and stick with me because it's all good stuff. Goal setting. Years are great for goals, okay? So, goals are set in a year, right? Having a year-long goal, but plans need to change rapidly, okay? So 90-day plans are really good, quarterly plans. And they can be broken down into monthly themes, all right? So when it comes to goal setting, you should set goals for the year, but you should have plans set at a 90-day or quarterly kind of, time constraint. And they can be broken down into monthly themes. A good example of this, the reason why he shared this is because someone asked him how he approaches his, approach to just pivoting sometimes. And he was like, I think you just need to be able to pivot rapidly, and it's good to have a goal, but ultimately your plan is going to change, and it's better to set plans on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis as opposed to a yearly basis, because you're going to need to pivot rapidly sometimes. And that's why this is a good framework for everybody watching this video. Set a goal for the year, right? Set a plan for the next 90 days to help you get closer to that goal, and then break that plan down into monthly themes. So one way we did this for WeTube, for example, the mastermind that Sam Evans asked me to partner with him on for the YouTube ads module was all last month. Actually, I can pull up my war map right here and show you this. So check this out. All last month for me was dedicated to WeTube. I kind of took it, I graded out, but this is my war map. This is how I organize my life and my business as well, and just keep track of everything. But all of June was dedicated to WeTube. So that was the theme for June, was creating the content for the YouTube ad section inside of WeTube, right? And so that was my whole goal for the month. That was my number one goal. You can see I have WeTube is all the whole goal for that month. That was my monthly theme for that month in the quarter. And so I would advise you to take that same approach, like Sam's advising the mastermind members who asked this question for them to do as well. All right. And so the next part is, what do you really love and want to do? And a lot of people were actually asking questions that were really powerful here that I think really helped me out as well, because sometimes this will trickle into day 2 as well, because this was a common theme throughout the weekend. But what do you really love and want to do? And I think that's a very important question that most people don't ask themselves. Instead, especially in the beginning, we always think about the thing that can help us make the most money quickly, right? Because we don't have much money. And when you don't have much money, you're operating from a place of scarcity. And that's not a bad thing. So you should have a goal to make money. And once you have money, you can then kind of step back a little bit and say, now that you have your nose above water and you can breathe, you should really reflect. Even I believe now, from the very beginning, like Sam's saying here and was advising, asking yourself, what do you really love and want to do? And he used the example of a neighbor of his who races cars, and he's sponsored by people that will pay for him to race cars, and that's what he does, and that's what he loves, and he gets paid to do it. But he never did it for the money. He did it because he loved it, and he got good at it, right? He loved racing cars, and as a result, the byproduct of him loving and doing it was getting paid by it or for it. And I think that's how a lot of people don't approach their lives nowadays. At least I can say, for a story for me, for example, I was doing YouTube basically full-time on the side, or I should say part-time on the side, as I was doing my full-time job back in like 2019 probably, 2018, when I was working full-time as a sales rep for a company called ZenReach, doing cold call sales. I was doing that 9 to 5, and on the side, I was going home every single day and filming YouTube videos. And if you guys go back and watch my channels old, a few years back, I was doing daily vlogs at one point. That was my part-time, full-time business. And I was doing it because I really loved making videos, creating content, editing the videos, making my own mini movies. I saw them as like my own TV channel, and I loved doing it. And I was getting momentum. I was starting to document my fitness journey, and people were following me saying, I love the vlogs, I love the edits, you're getting better, all this stuff. But I wasn't making any money from it. And as a result, I lost sight of the long term for the short term. I got selfish and greedy, and I wanted the money. And so I ended up stopping that completely to chase the money, and I ended up coming back to, what ultimately is what I'm doing now, which is sharing and documenting and creating, which is ultimately what I get the most inspiration from. I love doing this right here, man. I love learning and then sharing what I learned to help you as I'm learning it, because it also makes me learn it even more, right? As you teach it. And anyways, I share that story with you guys because it's better to, even when you don't have money, I believe now, looking back on my personal story like I just shared with you, to continue doing what you love, because eventually the money will come. As long as obviously you continue doing it and become really good at it, right? The money and opportunities will come. So I think it's a very important question to ask yourself right now. Maybe you're at a point in your life where you're kind of questioning what you're doing. Is this the business that you really want to have? Maybe it made you money to get to where you are now and it gave you some freedom, but do you really love this? And if you don't love it, right, then what do you really love and want to do? And we'll talk about this more in the next 2 days as well as we recap them. So day 2, when you align, so we're going to continue this now. When you align what you do want with the revenue goal, that's fun. It'll happen faster and easier. Okay. So when you align what you do want, right, with a revenue goal, that's fun. It'll happen faster and easier. Everything seems to flow better that way. There's just less resistance with everything. And this was a quote, actually. A lot of these are quotes, by the way. I don't want to put quotes on everything because then it's like everything's a quote, right? And I think you guys get the point. But when you align what you do want with a revenue goal, that's fun. It'll happen faster and easier. Everything seems to flow better that way. There's just less resistance with everything. And I can use another example here, a story, because one thing that I've always wanted was, it sounds kind of cheesy, but I've always wanted my own, to build my own family. Like, I remember that I never wanted to be at the top of the mountain by myself. I always wanted to be at the top of the mountain with some of my best friends. I always had this vision. It's funny, when I was in college, I always had this vision. And even when I was doing door-to-door sales, cold calling, all this stuff of building a team of some of my best friends and being on like a table in the nicest club, the most sought after VIP club that nobody can get into in Vegas, on a table, just freaking popping bottles and raging. And I know I said that like kind of like a noob right there, or like a total like geek, but like just, I'm trying not to cuss, just having a good freaking time. And that's fun to me. But how do you get to there, right? Well, you have to do something that's valuable to the marketplace to be able to earn that type of money, to be able to do that and celebrate that. Because if you're just celebrating without actually doing anything, it's not really worth it, right? Especially if you're just celebrating by yourself, it's not really that fun. And so my goal is always to build a team of my best friends working towards the same mission, helping people, right? Which is why I built adspend.com, and aligning that with the goal that we can hit together. That's fun to do, together. And it's happened faster for me that way. I remember when I was doing this by myself as a solopreneur with a few clients, making about $30K a month by myself, just living in a luxury apartment complex in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I was having fun, a lot of fun, but I ultimately knew it wouldn't last. And I knew that I was meant for more. I was meant to be a leader. And to be a leader, you have to have somebody to lead, somebody to teach, somebody who wants to follow you and who aligns with your mission, who believes in your mission. And that's when I knew I had to hire, build a team, and become a better leader, to create a team of people around me who are my friends to be able to help me get to my goal faster, which was ultimately to build a team and build a business that's our business together going towards a certain mission. So I share that with you guys because, again, what do you really love and want to do? When you can align that with a revenue goal that's fun, and it'll happen faster and easier, okay? Everything seems to flow better that way. There's just less resistance with everything. Think about that. Very important. And this is coming from Sam's personal experience as well, and he shared a story that I won't share here, but think about Sam's knowledge here as well, right? Because he's built the company to $36 million a year. Then he scaled it down, let go a lot of employees because it wasn't fun for him anymore, and there was a lot less profit and a lot more headache and complications. And sometimes a lot of people just align on a revenue goal. I want to make $1 million a month. I want to make $10K a month. I want to make $100K a month. All these revenue goals that we set because we don't really know any better. And I think that that's actually a good thing too, because you almost have to experience it like Sam experienced it himself, $36 million, 60 people team, to realize he wasn't having fun anymore. He was more stressed out than ever. He had more expenses, more complications, more problems. So then when he said, like, I just don't want to do this anymore, I want to go back to where it was more fun and more profitable. And then he scaled down now to a team of 5 people, right? Which is really respectable. And I think that it's important to think about that, because even though I know you probably want to hit a certain goal right now, think about what you really do love and want to do. And, take this advice potentially, because you might get to where you think you want and get there and say, I don't know if I really wanted this. Maybe I like the idea of this more. Something to consider. Another thing that aligns with this too is just because something makes money doesn't mean you should do it. And that's what Sam said on the call. I mean, just because there's an opportunity in front of you to make more money doesn't mean you should do it. Yeah, you can make more money, but there's a cost. There's always a cost to it, right? Whether it's your time, right? Which also takes a cost on your mental energy, because if you're just doing it for the money and it's costing you time that you could be doing something else doing, right? You're going to be kind of pissed off at yourself for doing that for the money. Or just because you can take on a client that wants to pay you money, but you know they're going to be kind of a headache client, doesn't mean you should take their money, because it's going to cost you time and it's going to cost you mental energy, your happiness as well. So think about that. Think about that. That's powerful. It's powerful. And I learned this as well, right? Recently, we had someone that came to work with us, and I knew they weren't going to be a good client. I just knew the person they were. They were young, all the signs were red flags. And the meme of the $500 client versus the $5,000 client has changed now due to inflation. It was more of the $5,000 client versus the $15,000 client. This guy was the $5,000 client, and he ended up being a total headache. And it was my fault ultimately. I shouldn't have enrolled him, because, it just goes to show. Just because something makes money doesn't mean you should do it. On pivoting. Okay, so the theme here of this, as you guys can tell, is a lot of people are kind of there's always the question, like I felt this as well, right? Times when your business gets too hectic, times when your life gets too, crazy and complicated and everything just gets so stressful for you and you're just kind of like, oh, I just kind of want to quit or pivot or do something else completely, right? I know that you guys watching this video, if you have your own business or have had a business before that was yours, can relate to this. We've all thought this, right? So when it comes to pivoting, right, Sam's advice here was for if it works and it sells really well, then you might like doing it, right? So for example, you might be in a business right now, but you might want to do another totally different offer that's unrelated really to your current offer or serves a different market. And it's really on your mind. It really just intrigues you. You keep thinking about it. And the thing is like, you just need to launch it. You just need to test it. You just need to get something going because you don't really know, right? You don't really know if you'll actually like doing it. There's too much uncertainty. So the advice here is like, if you think you want to pivot, first, I would say one thing that I've learned is before pivoting, maybe there's an aspect of your business that you actually do love doing, but you've been taken away from it because of the business. For example, I love creating content. I love networking. I love talking to clients. I love helping people. I love coaching. I love creating videos. I love creating valuable things. I love meeting with people, dinners, having a good time, bringing people together, right? Like that's what I love doing at the core root of who I am. But in the process of building adspend.com, sometimes I would get taken away from those things because I had to manage my team. I had to learn things that I really didn't want to learn, operations, finances, all these things that really, I don't really love doing. And when I was able to have a team around me and put people in place who loved or were better at the things that I'm not good at, that allowed me to focus on what I love. Like now I can do a video a week. I can focus on creating content. I can focus on, doing the marketing for the company, which is really what I really love doing, writing, building my personal brand, which also fuels adspend.com. That's what I love doing. So before you pivot, I would also say here, if there's something that you love doing, but you've been taken away from it because of the business, how can you go back to just doing that? Then you might not even need to pivot. But if you have been thinking about pivoting, maybe you should just launch something and test it and try it. See if you like it. Until then, there's just too much uncertainty. Because if you give up everything you have now and it doesn't work or you don't like it, then you're kind of screwed, right? So next is competition. I was looking at the clock trying to see like, is there a way I can do this in 30 minutes? But I'm not even going to worry about that. I'm just going to worry about giving as much value and going through each point as much as possible. So competition, someone asked about competition. If you should ever think about competition, this is a quote: competition will always be there. Okay. Competition will always be there, but you just got to be better. The main way you be better is you have to want it more than anyone else, which then goes back to what do you really love and want to do. Competition will always be there, guys, and you just got to be better than them. The main way you can be better is you have to want it more than anyone else. And how do you want it more than anyone else? You have to really love what you do, okay? You have to really love what you do. So you can see how this is all really high-level stuff here, right? This is more than just money at this point. This is really just aligning with your passion and your purpose and really taking time to self-reflect and become aware. That's the whole theme. And that's kind of what I like. I love following Sam and listening to Sam because he's been through it. And it's interesting what he's saying now after everything he's done. So if you can see how it all relates here. This is the stuff that you can't learn in a Make Money Online course. I'll tell you that. How do you know if you're burnt out? Okay, so like let's say you have been, again, feeling like you just don't know if you really want to do the same thing you've been doing. Well, how do you know the difference between burnout and then if it's you actually lost your passion for the thing you're doing? Well, Sam said there's a difference between lack of passion and burnout, okay? Sam said that if I'm burned out, I feel negative about everything. And I was like, fuck, that's good. Because it's true. Like if you're really burned out, you feel negative about everything. Everything. Not just your business, you feel negative about you, your life, maybe your situation, your personal, your physical, all that. You just feel negative about everything. That's how you know you're really burned out, when you're just negative about everything, right? And then the only cure for burnout is taking a break, which is usually 7 days, and then 1 week per quarter, which is something that we're going to be implementing here at adspend.com. I do think it's important to take a break, right? And especially if you do this, right? You set a goal for a year and you plan for 90 days each quarter, right? There's 4 quarters in a year. You just sprint for 90 days. I think it's very important to take at least a week off after that quarter sprint, right? Because you just went very hard to hit that goal, get closer to that goal. You should, and you deserve, I would say, a week off to not even think about the business. To just take a week off for yourself. So I know we didn't really talk about the passion here, but I think we kind of touched on it a little bit, right? And I think you guys are smart enough to kind of understand the difference between burnout and lost your passion, because again, you might just not love what you're currently doing, but you did love your business or what you did at one point. You just got away from that. So maybe you can go back to that, hire that out, what you don't like doing. Maybe you can get back to just doing what you love. And if you're burnt out, you just feel negative about everything. I think that was a really good thing, because I felt like that before in my life. And I was like, I just probably need a break, which I haven't taken actually in a long time. I can't remember the last time I took a week break. So I will be taking a week break in July for the UFC fights, this freaking UFC card, which I am super excited about. UFC London coming up to July 22nd, I think is what it is. Yeah, here we go. This is what we're taking a break. I'm taking a few of my team members to London to celebrate the last quarter together and for a week vacation. This card's stacked, by the way. Patty's fighting on it. It's going to be sick. So that's going to be the next time I take a break. With that said, let's keep moving here. Cutting weight is cheaper and can improve okay, so how do you optimize a business to perform better? Okay, we're taking a little bit of a switch here. How do you optimize a business to perform better? That's the theme. Cutting weight is cheaper and can improve performance more than trying to add weight to improve performance, right? Cutting weight is cheaper and can improve performance more than trying to add weight to improve performance. So, for example, if you want to improve performance, you could cut a bunch of dead weight. For example, expenses in terms of overhead, team members that just aren't performing well, just getting rid of all the constant expenses. Like maybe you're just over leveraged with like things that you don't really use anymore, right? You can perform better by making more profit if you just reduce your expenses, your living expenses, your business expenses, right? How can you just get by with how can you do more with less, right? That's always something you think about. And Sam used the example of race cars. Sam used to love building race cars. And the easiest way to make a car go faster was what? Getting rid of weight, right? How can you do that in your business? You can get rid of expenses that you don't use anymore, you don't need. You can do more with less, right? You can kind of get creative and think about that. But instead of adding something, adding a new team member, adding a new software, adding this new thing because you think it would be cool, does it really improve the performance? Maybe not, right? So you might not even need to add it. Just cut weight instead. I also relate to this with bodybuilding and with your physical appearance, right? How do you improve your performance as a human being, with your health, your mental clarity, right? Your energy. Well, if you're overweight, you're probably not going to be that fit. You're probably not going to have that much endurance, that much cardio. You probably can't swim for that long. You probably can't run for long. You probably can't, exercise for long. And you probably just feel lack of energy all day long because you're not really getting any physical fitness going because you're just sitting on your ass all day long. The easiest way to improve your performance as a human being and your health is cutting weight, because the more lean you become, the more energy you have, the more mental clarity you have. So it relates to all areas of life. I thought that was pretty cool. How do you make your business better? Okay, so on the same note here, define value. Okay, so you need to know what you're optimizing for. Ask yourself, how do your customers experience value? How do your customers experience value? You need to define that. So he used the example of Amazon. Amazon's value criteria. They have they said their value criteria was widest selection, lowest prices, fastest delivery, cheapest delivery, and reliability of service. That's their value criteria. They want to have the widest selection of products. They want to have the lowest prices for the widest selection of products. They want to have the fastest delivery for the widest selection of products at the lowest prices. They want to have the cheapest delivery and the fastest delivery with the lowest prices and the widest selection of products. And they also want to have a reliable service, okay? Because just because you have a cheap service, a fast delivery, and the lowest price delivery and the widest selection, but if the reliability of service is iffy, if like sometimes your package gets delivered and sometimes it doesn't, none of these things matter. So they have to all work together, right? And that was their value criteria for their customers, because that's how their customers think about valuable, and that's why Amazon is who it is today. So in terms of consulting.com, for example, Sam shared that his value criteria was profit, client results, and happiness. I don't know why I just capitalized that. It might be my just OCD tendencies. Not that I have OCD. I'm not going to say that about myself, but profit, client results, and happiness. Okay. So they're always aligned on profit. So everything that they do in the company is about profit, right? Profit always matters first. Doesn't matter how much revenue you do. How much did you actually keep? Okay. It's not how much money you make. It's how much money you kept, right? And so profit, do we need this software? Do we need to add this person to the team? Is this really going to help improve our client results? Okay. The next value, does it help improve client results? Okay. Because it's all about client results. Without client results, you can't make much profit. If your clients aren't getting results, you're not going to make much profit. And happiness, you have to have fun doing it. Is this going to be fun to do? Right? Is this going to contribute to our happiness? Right? Which also goes back to what you love. And all three of these have to be in line here for this to work for consulting.com. Maybe for you too. And you want to optimize everything in the business for each value criteria. Again, if it's about profit, you want to optimize everything in the business to fit the profit. You want to optimize everything in the business to get client results. You want to optimize everything in the business to be happy, have more happiness, okay? So this is all, again, really high-level stuff, guys. So I hope you're enjoying this. Day 3, how to improve no-show rates. This is more tactical, but we'll end with some very tactical stuff for you guys right now. If you're running a book a call funnel with your offer, your high-ticket coaching program, 2 types of problems, okay, if you have a no-show rate problem. Number 1, quality of traffic from targeting and your messaging. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, it might be a technical issue in the funnel or the booking process. All right. So to diagnose which of these it is, you want to ask, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Right? Why am I having a no-show rate problem? How you can ask yourself and then act on that is look at the sample of people who no-showed or canceled. Okay. Look at the sample of people who no-showed or canceled. And look at the same people who showed and purchased. Look at the sample of people who showed and purchased. What's the difference between these 2 types of samples? These 2 data sets? Like, what's the difference? And with that information and that data and looking at it from this high-level overview, you can then decide, is it a quality of traffic issue or is it a technical issue? Because really the only way to fix a no-show rate problem is quality of traffic, or is it a technical issue? And how do you do it overall? You sharpen your messaging. You really just get clear who it's for. Because if it is a targeting and messaging issue, you have to sharpen your messaging. Be very clear who it's for in the ad. Be very clear who it's for on the landing page. Be very clear who it's for on the VSL. Be very clear who it's for on the booking to even get on a call with you in the first place in the application questions. And be very clear who it's for on the actual thank you page. Sharpen your messaging across the funnel, not just your ads, not just your landing page, but on your funnel and your ads and your landing page and your thank you page and your website. That's the only way to really improve a no-show rate, given that it's not a technical issue. So with all that said, guys, that is the Quantum Mastermind 2022 Q2 recap, day 1 through 3. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below what your favorite takeaway was from this one-page Google document. And if you're new here, I would highly encourage you to subscribe. I drop one valuable video just like this every single week, and I'd love to have you a part of the team. So until next time, guys, keep smiling, keep learning, keep growing, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.